you tell them, this is a homework, okay. Next lesson, I want you to mark 10 come, 5 come, scripts, 35 don't come.
Are you serious?
Yes, 35 don't come. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about academic discipline.
And I honestly didn't think it was that bad. Like, it is horrible.
It is.
My goodness.
The sapiosexual platter.
Spare the rod, spoil the child. But is it really that simple? Is corporal punishment a necessary part of child discipline and child development? In this episode of the sapiosexual platter, we will be delving into the cultural context, the nuances, and the modern debate surrounding corporal punishment. My name is Shatani Somalakai.
And I am Belsabo Ame.
Welcome to the sapiosexual platter.
Today on the podcast, we are honored to be joined by somebody who has a sharp lens that has an intersection between law, policy making, and education. He's an educational transformative who coined the term academic indiscipline. And it's a special one to our heart because this is somebody who played a very key role in our education and being here today. Our literature teacher, Mr. Babuluki Ramando.
Oh, okay. Never thought I would have something like that in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome.
I'm glad I'm here.
Welcome.
And, yes, it's good to see you.
Good
guys.
to see you.
This
Good
is
to see
awesome.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after so many years.
I know.
Yeah.
I
How
know.
many years have passed?
Oh my God.
Do
Maybe
you want to
10.
mention it?
Okay. Yeah. So.
I'm not sure how old we are.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for having you today because the conversation in the country, the conversation in the world currently is surrounding discipline, children discipline within schools. And more importantly, you made a very interesting post on social media. And that's why we thought you'd be the best person to come and just share your views as a teacher and somebody who's very passionate about academic discipline and really making sure that you hone in the potential of the child. What inspired that post that you made recently?
It was, of course, a difficult, post to write.
Yes.
Because when you are employed to do a particular job, there are certain rules of expression.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it took a while for me to actually write it. After I've seen people, of course, comment,
Yes.
on Facebook, I've seen people comment on television, it's different medias
Yes.
that people use. But I think before we get to this one, it is very important for me to mention that I don't represent anybody.
Yes. Yes.
Here, I don't
yes.
represent anybody.
Yes.
I represent myself.
Yes.
I represent my views.
Yes.
I represent my opinions.
Yes.
I don't represent my school.
Yes.
I don't represent the Ministry of Education. And I'm here to just have a conversation with you as a person who has been here for a very long time.
Yes.
I've been in the system for a very long time. I've seen students fail.
Yes.
Yeah, because of indiscipline.
Yes.
I've seen students pass because of the contributions of people around them,
Yes.
including teachers.
Yes.
I've seen students develop from something that something that was nothing,
Yes.
to something that had potential to success. So it is painful to have people talk about something that affects you, that you're passionate about, and they have a lot of misconceptions about what happens. Yeah, what happens around you, and this is something that probably led me to writing that post. It wasn't rich for me. It was just not rich. There were so many things that I could have easily, delved into.
Yes.
About corporal punishment, about the issues that actually happen in schools. Yeah, because like I said, the issue of corporal punishment to me is very, very insignificant.
Yes.
Yeah, there are so many things that we must delve into, talk to, try to understand, so that we understand exactly what happens about discipline, what happens about indiscipline, the causes, the effects, and all these things.
Yeah.
Then you'll also realize, if you come closer to us and understand how we deal with these things, you'll also realize that discipline just makes, maybe 1% of the contributions that we do, not necessarily discipline, corporal punishment.
Yes.
That we have so many things that we do to try to help a child.
Yes.
Yeah. Corporal punishment is one of them. It has a lot of advantages, it is a lot of disadvantages. So we shouldn't just jump into conclusions without sitting down and trying to understand exactly how to use it, when to use it, what are the disadvantages, what are the advantages. It's not just about inflicting pain on somebody. Nobody wants to inflict pain on somebody. You understand? There's more to corporal punishment than violence that people purport. Because a lot of people think that it's abuse, it's this violence. No, corporal punishment should be done with love. The real one, it is done with love. The person who's being punished understands why they're being punished. You have to show them why it has to be done, and why corporal punishment over other forms of punishment.
Yes.
Because we have suspensions. Yes.
Before we get to the suspensions, I would like maybe Shatanyi to expand.
Yeah, so recently there's been a lot of debate around the country around the issue of corporal punishment. I think the president is the one who initially brought it up at a Khotla meeting, and his view, obviously from a human rights perspective, I don't think there's any doubt that he's against it.
Yeah.
And I think echoing his sentiments at some point was there should be other ways that we can inspire children to love school and all of that. And I suppose on the backdrop of that, then the Ministry of Education took a stance, and they've been developing some legislation with regards to corporal punishment that's expected to be tabled for consideration. And it's specifically to abolish corporal punishment in schools as well as corporal punishment at home. On both ends. And so that's the debate that that's when the debate sparked, and you look at social media, lots of very interesting comments. They come and collect the children and live with them in my home, in my yard. I don't condone delinquency. So lots of different posts. I think there was over 2,000 comments on just this alone on one of the on one of the newspaper pages on Facebook. And then Mr. Armando recently then gave his opinion, as he said, on the issue, and it's quite long and very emotive, and obviously because you taught us, I felt it, because just as you mentioned about disciplining with love, I can recall that even in class, during our literature class, you only ever administered corporal punishment on us one time. And it was dramatic.
You were so touched by that. She still keeps about it.
Because to defend him, you don't just, those teachers that just has a stick and is beating children all the time. As you did at that time, I think we had written a test, and a lot of us had performed under our capability. And I think you weren't impressed with that, and you were like, I expect better. You guys are excellent, you know? And, this is a gesture to push you to think about, whether or not you're really serious about, school and about your future. And so I thought, you'd be the perfect person to unpack this. Also because, like you said, you're a literature and English teacher, and you taught us the art of, unpacking all these issues.
I would want to add to that, because now when you share the part of the government being involved in this conversation and wanting to take steps in terms of policy making and the law, I'm curious, what was the trigger for that? Because it's interesting that this conversation is coming up at this time when there's also the podcast that took place Mahwe August. I don't know if you came across it. It's been trending on social media. Mahwe
I do
August
follow,
was
yeah.
on Hauna Live's podcast, and she spoke about how her child experienced corporal punishment at school. The teacher hit the son on the head, and ever since then, the child has seizures.
Oh, my
the
word.
child is unwell, and she thought the child was at first just doing it, being funny. When it first happened, and then the child said, every time the teacher beats me, this happens. So I don't know if that was the trigger for the government to then say, let's do something about it. But I know that the energy and the frequency of the conversation, it's interesting that this is the post that His Excellency is making. And then also there's also this one that has been trending about this baby and what they've experienced.
I understand, but I don't want to talk about any case specifically.
Yes, exactly.
Because I, as much as I could read and follow cases, it does not mean that I understand
Exactly.
the background to these cases. This is why I'm saying I want to restrict this conversation to what I know. But to tell you the truth, how many cases do we have that are like that? Where a teacher, do you understand? Where a teacher does something like that. How many cases?
They're not often.
1 in a million.
Yes.
You understand? And I'm not trying to justify that sometimes things don't control. They do. Even when I administer corporal punishment legally, I might hurt a child, but the intention was not to hurt. The intention is very important. So when you administer corporal punishment and you are angry or what, you don't follow the laid down procedures, you might exactly go to what you are talking about. So there are other cases where, of course, things are done that are out of hand.
Yes.
That are outright illegal. You understand? But
What
one
would you
case
say about the intentions of those cases? Is the intention still the same to
No, what I'm saying, sometimes when you punish, I don't think that a person who is a teacher who is in his right senses will intentionally want to hurt somebody unless there's something wrong happened. I cannot try to justify anything that is wrong.
Yes.
We know that it's wrong. Listen, I've been wrong before. Yes, I've administered corporal punishment and hurt a person, and I've said I'm sorry. You understand? And sometimes I wish that I would have maybe taken a different alternative. It happens. These things happen. But I'm not talking about something that is severe. Like you are describing. I think to me it's a severe case.
Yes.
Do you understand? I don't know the circumstances that led to that. I don't know anything about that. But what I know, just from the description, it's not okay to do something like that. And that is what corporal punishment is not about.
What is it about? What is corporal
Like
punishment
I
about?
was saying, corporal punishment, when you do it with love. There's no anger in it. You simply want to correct a person quickly. This is the main reason for corporal punishment. It is swift. It's very swift. It doesn't disadvantage a child. Do you understand?
What do you
From
mean by
going on with the learning in class. I'll give you an example. A child makes noise during study. You understand? You come, others report. This child we can't concentrate in class. We can't do anything. He's making. Should I take that child and cut a space for him and say, go and do manual work? Should I take a child out of class and detention for noise making, for something as small as noise making? You understand? So I believe that for small things, corporal punishment is very appropriate, because what you do is that you just show a child, don't make noise when people are, do you understand, are studying, do you understand, or when the lesson is on, sit down, learn.
Yeah.
If you do something, and I go to other alternatives, which nobody talks about these alternatives, they are there.
What are the alternatives?
Yes, they are there. The Education Act talks about the levels, okay, the levels of offenses There's level 1, there's level 2, there's level 3, and there's level 4. And all these levels, the Education Act will tell you that when a student commits offenses in level 1, these are the options that you have. You understand? When a person commits offenses that are in level 2, these are the choices that you have. You understand? And all of them have corporal punishment from beginning to the end.
Yeah.
You understand? But lesser ones, sometimes we just warn, we talk to you and say, don't do this. You understand? But if a child brings space cake, muffins made by weed. Okay, deliberately, they bring them to school, feed them to unsuspecting kids in class. Then hell break loose. These kids are affected by that. You are called, you come running. Okay, then you investigate, you realize that these kids were fed space cakes by another kid. That is a very serious offense. Do you understand? It's something that also affects another person. So as much as we look towards the rights of the student and we say they should not be, do you understand, corrected through corporal punishment, what about this other person who is affected by the actions of another student?
Which is illegal.
Which is illegal.
Yeah.
And this is also a child. We can't take them to the police. You can do that, even though they brought something that is illegal. As a parent, do you understand? As a teacher, when a student does that, you don't just run and say, go to the police. You understand? Because you know the consequences. And we build first. We correct. We sit down and we sit down with parents. We sit down with the child and say, this is what you have done. You see, so that offense, it's serious. It's different from other offenses. You understand? So this offense, we can go backwards and understand what led to this. Trust me, things are worse than you see in schools.
Speaking of that,
things are worse than you see in schools. We have a lot of issues. And these are the issues that in my post, I wanted to be addressed. We have a lot of issues of drug abuse in schools, where students bring drugs to school. I'm sorry to say this, where even some parents know or participate. You understand? And we know who actually even supplies these kids. Trust me, it's worse than we think. As a responsible person, because my responsibility is to create an environment that is very conducive for learning. You understand? Where the child who brings this thing is protected, and the child who is given this thing is also protected. So I have to balance these things.
Yeah.
And if I need to use corporal punishment because it's swift, you understand? Yeah, we don't like it.
Yeah.
We don't like it. But something has to be done to show a student that, no, this is not okay. Maybe going back to your question, I don't know whether I've addressed it.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, I just wanted, because we have a huge international audience.
Yes.
So obviously we laid the foundation for why this debate began in the first place.
Yes.
But I want you to just give a picture to somebody who's never been to like a public school, because that's the context within which you speak to.
Yeah.
Which is a very different environment from a private school, even within Botswana, and schools in other parts of Africa and other parts of the world.
Yeah.
To say, what does a typical day look like? How many students are you catering to?
Yeah.
And, when you say something like corporal punishment is swift, I can understand because I was in your class, we were like 40 of us.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate when you say it's swift that, if you're going to be telling 40 of us, you sit down, you keep quiet.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit of a,
that's
you know what I mean? So just give us a bit of context of why it's effective, by just painting a picture of what it looks like.
Yeah. I have about close to 200 students that I teach. Yeah, another teacher will also have around that. The school will have, senior school will have close to 2,000 depending on type of school. So it will be 1.8, 1.8, 1.9 around there.
How many children in a class?
Sometimes the average is around 40. Yeah, so 35, around 40 or 35, somewhere there. So we are 1.8. Every teacher about 200. We mark, okay. If there are 40, you're supposed to mark 40 scripts. 5 come, okay? 35 don't come. 35 scripts don't come.
What do you
When
mean
you-
35 scripts don't come?
No, you tell them this is a homework. Okay. Next lesson, I want you to mark. Okay. Or submit for marking. 10 come, 5 come, scripts. 35 don't come.
Are you serious?
Yes. 35 don't come. You remember earlier on you talked about academic indiscipline. Yes. Academic indiscipline is a very, very, very important aspect in teaching. So I realized through this being the chairperson of the discipline committee, that we should separate just general indiscipline and academic indiscipline. Because in schools, what we are interested in, most importantly, is grades. We want a student to be able to pass. Okay? So now, there are things that you should do as a student in order for you to get a good grade. If you don't do these things, I call it academic indiscipline. They have nothing to do with being late at school. They have nothing to do with making noise. Okay? They are directly directed towards helping you get a good grade. I'll give you an example. Physics, biology, chem. Okay? You are supposed to have 3 notebooks. Okay? And take notes. You take that notebook, there's nothing in it. A student attends every day, but there's no notes.
Wow.
Do you understand? There are no notes. Or the notes are incomplete. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about academic discipline. Okay? Okay? There are no notes. The exam comes. Will that student perform? No. Exactly. And let me tell you, what is painful is that a lot of these kids who have problems come with good grades. You go to primary school, they get A's, they get B's. Some of them will actually have it will be all A's, others 7 A's. You go then when they get to junior school, it starts. The drop will start.
What happens
The
there?
problem is exactly what happens there.
What
What happened? What happened? So the
What is
system,
happening,
the
yeah.
system, you understand, is failing these kids.
What about the system is warped and
The system. I'm talking me as a teacher. Okay, a teacher who says, "Okay, I was employed to teach. If somebody doesn't submit notebooks,
That's on them.
that's on them. I've given them homework. Do you understand? There are teachers who are like that, but I can't do that. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more than that. I can't just get 5 notebooks when there's supposed to be 40. Then I mark 5, then I say, it's okay, kids, if you don't want to write, then it's okay. Write when you feel like writing, not me. I can't do that. So those areas fall under academic indiscipline. Okay.
So just to dive deeper in what you just spoke about, what you're saying is that a teacher is more than just sharing information.
More than that.
They also have to play a deep role
Yes.
in disciplining the child.
Yes.
And making sure that the child conforms to a certain behavioral standard.
Exactly.
So now, if teaching is more than just impacting information, what would you say is the 360 role of a teacher? Because maybe if we're saying the system is warped and the system starts with different things, but we started with the starting point, which is the teacher, how do we then build the capacity of teachers and the skills of teachers and give them a seed or a starting point of knowing that as a teacher, this is what you should be?
I respect teachers because you can't give them anything. You know, whatever that the teachers do. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, it's priceless.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's priceless.
No, definitely.
So what we all need is respect. Just say to us, I understand and I'm with you. Do you understand? Then the teachers will do anything.
Yes.
I've always believed that the teacher is the best resource. Even if there are no resources, if a teacher is there, the student will perform. Because the teacher is the best what?
Resource.
Is the best resource. I've always believed that all my years,
Yes.
that I'll do anything as a teacher to give my students to perform. So what we need from anybody, from the minister, unfortunately our minister is the one who actually made statements that there are teachers who beat up a student in a school and they ganged up on a particular child. I don't know anything about it, but I learned later that she apologized about it. I don't know the specifics of the apology and stuff. But to me, I saw a lot of misunderstanding, for lack of a better word. That they don't understand what a teacher goes through in a classroom. I'm a finance officer.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm a good Samaritan in class. I give money.
Yes.
My money, my son's money, my wife's money. Just the other day, let me give you an example. Just the other day, I was in school, students were writing exams. It is around 9:30. I saw a girl child coming into school. I asked her, why are you coming this late? Just a simple question. Why are you coming this late? 9:30. She started crying. Then I realized there's more to this. Then took her to the office, asked her. Then she said, you know what? We didn't have money at home. Yeah, we didn't have money at home. My mom had to leave home very early in the morning to go around asking for transport money. You understand? And now she managed to get money for just today. I had to convince an HOD that I work with to give the girl transport money for 2 weeks. Because I told her, you are not going to miss exams for something that you cannot control. I have relationships with my kids. I cannot teach you for 2 years and not have a relationship with you. When you cry, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
When you cry, when you complain and say, I don't have food at home, I feel your pain.
Yes.
Yeah, and these are things that we deal with in class. When a child has got no notebook and the child has to write notes in class, trust me, let me tell you, I am going to provide a notebook to my kids if they don't have notebooks.
Yeah.
I am going to do that.
So
you understand? Because
other teachers, sorry
Yeah.
to cut you short, other teachers are different from you, right?
Yes.
As you said, like, teachers are not the same.
Yeah.
There are teachers who'd be like, I was expecting 40 books and I got 5. I'm going to mark these 5 and move on. I've done my part.
it's a facade. Trust me. It's a facade. It's something that they will talk about. Do you understand? Every teacher, do you understand, will have concern.
So
All
what's
the
the
teachers
difference
are
between,
concerned.
because we're trying to tackle this warped system
Yes.
where the teachers are unable to really play the role that they need to play fully. So what you've shared is that a lot of teachers don't feel as respected at times.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is that one of the reasons why they wouldn't then apply themselves fully?
That's exactly what happens. So what happens is that a teacher is a very, very easy person to please. To please. Once you respect the teacher, you appreciate the contribution that they have. When you have issues, you indulge them and you talk to them. Do you understand? With respect, trust me, you'll get everything from a teacher. Do you understand? You'll do. Yeah. The problem with these teachers who will say, I'm not going to do this, this thing, do you understand? This thing, I'm leaving this, I will not punish anybody. Trust me, they're saying it on Facebook and stuff. Once there's a problem in class, a child comes to report that this person has bullied them, has sent a picture of them naked on a class group, on a class WhatsApp group. Trust me, you will act.
So, on the system being warped, I want us to just discuss a little bit more about that. Because for me, the issue of discipline, I think, is also tied to the home and the family.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it always seems to me that there's so much responsibility that the teacher has to form a child, to develop a child. And I mean, the child does spend a lot of time at school. But what, you talked about how, we have a different era of kids. What's the era of parents that we have now?
With due respect, we
what
have
kind
problems.
of parents do we have?
We have problems. The first thing that I normally do when I encounter a problem, I talk to the child. So, where's mom? Where's dad? Who do you stay with? Do you understand? We have issues.
Yeah.
All this, not all of them, a lot of these kids that I experience come from families, I'm very sorry to say this, that are broken. The family system is broken. And this brokenness, you understand, goes into the kids. And the kids become broken themselves. And they hurt others in the process.
Hurt people.
Yeah, they hurt people. They hurt other students. Because once you sit down with the students, you realize, with a particular child who has committed an offense. Because when a child comes to you and this child has done something that is wrong, you don't just get a stick and start beating the child. No. You sit them sit them down, and you want to understand who they are, where they are from.
Yeah.
This is why I'm saying over the years, this experience, do you understand, has changed me, and even changed the outlook of how I punish. Yeah, like I was saying, sometimes I punish, some I send for counseling, some for rehabilitation. But I've also realized that the fabric of the family, do you understand? It's eroded. The family is no longer there. You'll find that a child stays home alone. Yeah, they're given money. They're not there. You find that a parent stays there married to somebody else. The father. The mother is married to somebody else. The child is taken to stay with the grandmother. Do you understand? Because both of them, they don't want this child to mess up their marriages. So they'll take the child, and the child will have that bitterness. You understand? My father, my mother is living well, and this is how I'm living with my grandmother. They end up going to drugs. They hurt other people. Do you understand? Because they are also hurt. So we have that problem with the society today. Do you understand? That the system is broken, in terms of family. And not only family. You go to the government. Our government is also broken. Do you understand? It is failing to do the fundamentals of education. Yeah, providing books to students. How do you prepare a child to an exam? Do you understand? When a child for 2 years doesn't have a book, how do you do that? So you see, this is why I'm saying respect us, because we are doing more. Do you understand? We are doing the things that you should be doing. Do you understand? As a government, we provide books. We photocopy using our own printers at our homes. Do you understand? There's no internet. We use our internet with to teach these kids. There's so much that a teacher is doing. Do you understand? And this, talking about just corporal punishment and say that we are out of line and looking at just one thing and not looking at the bigger picture of what a teacher does every day, then you have a serious problem. And our government is also broken. It's like everybody's broken this stage. I don't understand.
I'm a bit overwhelmed. I genuinely did not expect this.
You should.
I thought this was going to be a very stimulating conversation on the specific issue of corporal punishment.
Yeah.
But now I'm realizing that we will not be doing this topic justice if we don't unpack, what happens in the schools. And it's shocking, it's disheartening. It explains the failure rate in Botswana. And, I appreciate your point about corporal punishment it's a figment of the entire problem
that we have in schools.
And I honestly didn't think it was that bad. It is horrible.
It is.
My goodness.
What would you say is happening? What's causing the erosion that's taking place now?
Yeah, like I said, this is a 21st century child who's exposed to a lot of things, in the internet. They have these things right there. You understand? Whatever that they want to search, they search. You understand? Whatever that they want to do, they do. They try out. There are a lot of cases that are brought about by this boom in technology. You understand? The other one, like I was saying, is the issue of just parenting itself. Yeah, sometimes it's so surprising. A parent will come to school and they say they're looking for their child. They want to give them money or something. I'll ask them, which class is your child in? A parent doesn't know.
Wow.
There's a lot of disconnect between parents and of course children and the students. So a lot should be done to bridge this gap. So all of us should be involved. And I don't want to say this is the particular problem and they should deal with. No, we are all in this. All of us.
Yeah.
You know, you're social commentators. You are in this. We are supposed to be building, do you understand? So that our kids understand the consequences of their actions. Not necessarily just about being beaten. You know, right now, you know, a lot of these kids are celebrating. You see videos of them celebrating, say, we are not going to be beaten anymore, we can do anything. And they are saying horrible stuff on social media. So that is another problem. What is the role of government? The government is failing also.
Okay, but so that's my thing is maybe
Yeah.
back to my earlier question
Yeah.
on ngwanake wa gago,
Yeah.
with due respect.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know, there's just something about Botswana's culture where there's a lot of reliance on the government.
Yeah.
You know, and so you say the government is failing, but
No, the government will not provide everything. You understand?
Yeah, so that's my
So
thing, to say-
failing, I'm not necessarily saying the government should provide this and that and that and that. Remember I said one thing earlier. Respect and appreciation. You understand? That we give to another stakeholder. And you say, just go to the stakeholder and say, I appreciate you. I understand what you're going through. What should I do to help you?
what can we do?
What can we do?
Yeah.
You understand? Together to mold the kids. We know that there is corporal punishment. We know that there's this and this and this. We know kids have rights. Do you understand? We know all these things. Do you understand? What is that thing that we can all agree on and say, in the differences that we have, this is the common thing that we all must follow. It only comes with dialogue and communication and respect and debate. Debate is very important. So you don't just, take your opinion and just shove it on other people and say this is... No, we all have different opinions. Do you understand? Yeah, we're professionals. We know what we are supposed to do. But we all want one thing. We want a well-rounded, child. You are examples of, the kids that I'm talking about. Look at you right now.
Amen.
We want you to be able to do this. And you remember at times I would go on and not teach and talk about you being international. I talked about she's a lawyer right now.
Yeah.
And we talked about all these things many years ago. She was in my debate team. You were in my debate team. We debated these things. And we understand the power of debate. And that's exactly what everybody who's involved should be talking about. Let's sit down. Let's debate. Let's provide the things that we can provide that are possible. Okay? And if you concentrate on the things that we can provide, all the other small things that we don't want will
They
fade
fall
away.
away, yeah.
They will fade away, they will die. So we must create a culture that is conducive for what? For learning.
Yes.
Of course, we'll always have dissidents there and there. Kids are kids. There will be kids. Well, do you understand? We can't always punish, yes. But it is my responsibility as a teacher to say, please, watch out for this, watch out for this. If you do this, this is what is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and show them that if you do this, you'll suffer this. Of course, they'll probably pick from there and say, you know what, I need to change. Sometimes a question will be very simple. Identify one word.
The
One
question
word.
would be what?
Very simple. It will say, identify one word here. One word. And a child will write 17 words. 17. You understand? 17. Then I'll use my stick and say, you are not serious. How are you going to fail for something like this? Even if the word is there, you are still going to fail because it says one word. So
I like what you
Yeah.
what you said about culture. And I want, every time we have a conversation here on the Sapiosexual Platter, we always bring it to the cultural context, the African context. And when I look at this issue of corporal punishment and just like human rights, a lot of the times we tend to borrow from the Western culture, from the European culture, because they'll say, oh, this is child abuse.
Yeah.
So therefore, in our own African culture, we should stop some of these practices. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, culture evolves, okay? And culture is influenced by a lot of things, okay? But people should understand that there are certain things that are endemic to our way of life that cannot be eroded. Once you erode them, then the fabric of the society is gone. I'll give you an example using the quota system.
Yeah.
The quota system has stayed. You understand? It has evolved, but it managed to stay for a very long time because it is an integral part of our democracy where everybody can say anything that they want. Exactly. Where our government officials, if they want to talk to people, they know that they have to go to a quota. There's a chief. You understand? That system has evolved and changed, but it is still there.
Yeah.
You understand? To hold our society together. I believe in education, we should also have systems that are like that, cultural. That are cultural, although with changes, as changes come.
Yes, but they
You understand?
stay there.
But they should stay there. You
So
understand?
maybe that's why we're experiencing the erosion that we're having in this younger generation, because there's a huge disconnect to
Exactly.
just culture. Things have evolved. So many things plague our identity. The history that we've lived, the
Yeah.
colonialism, the slavery, it's caused such a deep cultural
Yeah.
erosion
Yeah.
that the foundation of what our soul is seated or rooted on
Yeah.
is like very shaky.
Yeah.
So how do we then, where we are, bring back the culture?
It's very complex. It's
Ish.
very, very complex. Some people leave it to God. Some people leave it to God. Some talk about it on social media.
Yes.
You know, but one thing that is concerning is, I think our country or those who are responsible don't create platforms. Do you understand? For discussion. So most of the time, policymakers will make policies because of emotions. Do you understand? Because of how they view stuff. They don't even engage another person. Do you understand? And talk. That's the problem. So as long as we are not going to sit down and talk about the challenges that we have, do you understand? Especially as professionals. So we need to understand exactly how to deal with the issues, as they come, and appreciate another person and sit down and dialogue and agree on the things that we can hold together. And the thing, commonality is very important, and agreement is very important. When you agree, we own something. Do you understand? Then we move forward. But I don't think we have lost hope. You are here. Yeah, your platform is here. It is meant to create that dialogue. I'm talking to you right now. We are having a dialogue, and I think that is important. But we have to do more. We have to have, education episodes. We have to have different, cultural exchanges, where you also learn about other countries and the challenges that they have. I just learned 3 weeks ago that Trump, has signed, something that gives, power to teachers about discipline. And we're talking about the first, world country. It just signed something like that. Now we are doing the opposite without even thinking. We want to take away anything that can control a class. A classroom has 40 different individuals with different backgrounds. And we need to be able to have control measures that are effective. This is why corporal punishment comes in. Because I want to be able to say, you know what? You have brought Motokwani in school. Okay, it's a wrong thing to do. Okay, I'm not going to give you 20 days suspension as the what? The Education Act says. I'm not going to do that because you're going to miss a lot. So I'm going to give you 3 or 4 on your buttocks, then you go back to class.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
the question to anybody who's listening, to the government officials who are obviously pro removing corporal punishment,
Yeah.
the real question is, if not corporal punishment, then what?
Then what?
What do you have to say to somebody who would critique and say there's been too much dialogue taking place? I'm an international development specialist, and
Yeah.
I've been working on education closely with the
Yeah.
former First Lady of the
Yeah.
country with different programs that she has. So one of the ones that we worked on was actually youth dialogue.
Yeah.
We were talking about the use of drugs with children and going to different schools. And then recently we went to Diratsame in Moshopa,
Yeah.
where we went to engage with the children and award excellence. So this is very passionate and very close to my heart
Yeah.
because it's something that I've been observing closely for the last 6 years. So now I look at it and I'm like, for the last 6 years, we've been dialoguing. We had parents dialogue, we had youth dialogues, we had boys and men, let's have a conversation. There's been so many dialogues in those different initiatives. There was Nakinali, dialogue after dialogue after dialogue. What happens after the dialogues? Like, what do we do post-dialogue?
Yeah, no,
post the conversation?
dialoguing is not just talking. Dialoguing means when you talk, you sit down and agree on certain things.
Yes.
Then you come up with a plan of implementation. Okay. Then you implement that.
But that's where we fail as a
that's where we are
country,
failing.
implementation.
Yeah, exactly. So the problem with Botswana is that we talk blah 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 all the time. Action, nothing. Do you understand? That's the problem. This is why we are talking about a simple thing like this. We are dialoguing about corporal punishment. We are saying it's bad. None of these people will tell you what should we do then.
So let's
Do you
do
understand?
something different here on this
Yes.
platform right now.
Yeah.
Let us pave the way forward. Let's not be just part of the people who engage in the dialogue.
Yeah.
What is the action that people should partake in to shift things forward?
Yeah.
Like, let's give people solutions, because I'm very much deeply interested in the solutions. And another issue, and I'm glad that you are a man who's very masculine, another issue that we're facing is the boy child. The boy child is sort of left behind. When I was at Ratsame recently, they spoke about how there's just delinquents in the boy child, and it's so hard to discipline the boy child.
Yeah.
So how do we then move the education system and reform it in a way that we know how to enact discipline on the girl child and the boy child, because they are different in their makeup?
Of course they are. Yeah, of course they are. We understand the complexities of being a boy and also being a girl. Even the Education Act knows that, because it is very clear on how a girl should be, punished, if they need to be punished, how a boy should be punished. There's that dichotomy. Do you understand? Because it understands that there is this distinction. Do you understand? So, but it's more complex, even today, because these days we also have boys who are girls. Do you understand? And we also have, girls who are boys. Makes things even worse. So this is why I'm saying there are so many issues that we need to deal with. And some of us, or some people, will be what? Will not understand how to deal with issues like that.
Yeah.
Because there's no dialogue. We just hope that God will solve our problems. And if we don't do anything about it, it's going to be a problem. Listen, there's no system that is perfect. But trust me, there's a system that is better than the other. But you can't just decide as one person. Do you understand? Yeah, we have to engage everybody. Do you understand? So that we see exactly what we need to do. We need research. Our country is very poor in terms of assisting. Researchers provide tangible. Do you understand? Statistics. We need research. So right now we talk about corporal punishment. We don't know how many cases of corporal punishment have been in schools.
No statistics.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Why were they given that? We don't know.
Yeah.
But we need research so that we are able to stand in front of people and say, we have cases like this and like this and like this. Do you understand? And how are we going to get out of this? Then we map a way forward. So everybody has a role to play, but everybody is broken. Everybody is broken. So
Wow.
there's more that we need to do as a country to help these kids, and corporal punishment is the lesser of the problems that we have, that these kids have.
So guys, you heard it here today. Let us not distract ourselves from the real issues that we're facing as a society. Let us not mask the problems that are underneath and that lay the foundation to the broken society that we live in today. I'm shattered to hear the things that I've been hearing today. This is something that's very close to my heart. And I pray that as we're rebuilding our culture, our society, and Africa, we can heal ourselves and really go to the core of the structures of our family, the foundations of our souls, and more importantly, understand our minds and really, really focus on mastering our minds. I am Belsa Abo Ame.
I am Shatani Somalakai.
And you've been watching The
Sapiosexual
Sapiosexual
Platter.
Platter.